Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to This Week in Karting. It is episode 77, April 29th, 2024. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we're bringing you all the major news that has hit the EKN homepage over the past couple of weeks. Again, our podcasts are perfect for listening to on the way to work, coming home, or while you're in the garage, at the shop, working on the karts, or heading to the racetrack itself. So thank you for joining us. And today's episode is presented by Comet Kart Sales. History, success, family. These are three words that describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation is located just outside Indianapolis, and it has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, and they are continually adding new parts to their product line. Make sure you head to cometkartsales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Nate, it's this month in karting, because again, it's been a while since we had our last show, episode 76, on March 20th, 2024. I had a vacation in there, plus we had 2 trackside events, so we're kind of just now getting caught up with what has been a busy, essentially 4 weeks, a month-long run that we're just now catching up, and now we're going to be heading into the coveted month of May.
Yeah, I mean, with all the trackside coverage we've been doing between SCUSA, PKS, COTA, and now Route 66 this next weekend, been a bit of a break since we've actually all been able to sit down and talk about the happenings in karting in the past month now.
Yeah, Rob was on vacation in March a little bit. I was gone. You've been kind of hammered, locked in on working here and there, and made your trip to USPKS. We'll talk about that. We can talk about that a little bit, but yeah, it's been a busy stretch for sure. And of course, the first quarter of the 2024 season is essentially completed now, as we are into our final couple of days of the month of April. And it's crazy to be thinking about 2025 already, but SuperKarts USA has already pulled the trigger. They've aimed and shot their schedule out there for 2025, and that includes the SCUSA Winter Series and the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour schedule. Nate, give us a quick rundown of those dates.
Yeah, so SCUSA still opting for the 2-weekend format for their Winter Series. That's going to be on the 10th and 12th of January. And then the second and final weekend will be in the 7th and 9th of February. The Pro Tour, however, will be staying at the final weekend of March, the 28th through the 30th. Then second round will be May 16th through the 18th, and then July 25th through the 27th, the final weekend of the Pro Tour.
Yeah, it's strange to see the dates come out already, but essentially they're trying to be proactive and work with what fits for them. They obviously have the California Pro Kart Challenge going on, but also SCUSA Mexico and other programs as well too. Nate, where do you think, looking ahead, where do you think the locations are going to be? Obviously we can kind of just guess AMR Motorplex for SCUSA Winter Series, unless something big happens to where they make a change there. But what do you think for Pro Tour in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, but going back to what you said a little bit earlier, the best way to not have to schedule around like the likes of USPKS and Stars is to release your 2025 dates in the early months of 2024. So good on them for that. But in terms of tracks, I see them going back to AMR again. I think they had some fairly strong races in terms of entry count this last year, especially the first round, with a lot of entries compared to what we've seen in previous years. For the Pro Tour,
yeah, their largest event of the Winter Series ever.
Yeah, for the Pro Tour, you have to think Newcastle is going to stay in that Summer Nats spot, and obviously with all the talk around K1 circuit and when that will be ready, you have to think that will be a contender for spring or winter nationals. But I think SCUSA has been wanting to change things up a little bit on the track side of things, not going to the same 3 circuits every single year. So I don't know. I think it's too early to predict where they're going to go for the winter and spring nationals, but obviously there's going to be a handful of tracks that could be.
Well, they're going to Motorsports Country Club for the first time in Cincinnati in June for this year's Spring Nationals. So that's something new. As you said, I agree with you on the Newcastle side of things. That's going to be their July date. March, I got to assume that K1, if it's open, is going to be that weekend. Why not start off the Pro Tour with probably what will be one of the largest Pro Tour events ever? I'm gonna guess if it's at K1, because again, that's still one of the more anticipated racetracks to open that has not opened. It's been an ongoing, at least 2 years now of waiting for that facility to open, and unfortunately hasn't. We've heard they're making strides. Nothing's been confirmed or denied from K1 circuit, but I got to assume that's going to be the March one, because again, California in the month of March. Way better than trying to go anywhere else in the country, unless in the southern parts or in the southern states. So that would open up May to any other facility that could possibly, could be going back to Motorsports Country Club, and then making K1 that new racetrack for 2025. So maybe that's possibly the avenue they're going at. Month of May, moving. Pro Tour, the Pro Tour is in June this year, moving back to the month of May, which is playing on the EKN Radio Network. 2018 SCUSA Pro Tour Spring Nationals playing on the radio network right now. That was in the month of May, and typically the Spring Nationals was set in that month of May, to where we are still just prior to that summer seasonal change. So interesting. Yeah. As you said, though, that's essentially set the stage for everybody else. They now know what SCUSA is looking at, what they've confirmed, and now everybody else can kind of work around that. I think Challenge in Americas is looking at working around it already as they're beginning their 2025 program. I know USPKS has talked, about, already formulating their dates when it was kind of asked about that, and nothing official from them, but they're still kind of working that out as well too. And it allows the regional programs, like you said, Stars and Route and the Florida programs, Texas Sprint Racing Series. So it's a good start to get the ball rolling in 2025. Unfortunately, it's just April. Like we're kind of still itching the eyes, trying to wake up that it's 2024, kind of for me. That we're already, a quarter or a third of the way through. So it's strange, but yeah. So I'll be interested to hear more about that as the season goes along. Speaking of the season going along, the FIA Karting European Championships held their second event this past weekend in Val d'Argenton, France, for the second round of the European Championship. A big victory for Joe Turney, the Kart Republic driver. Was seriously injured in a wreck at the World Championships in 2023. So he's essentially completed the comeback. He was, I believe, runner up at the opening round of the European Championships, and now winning the second event, and is in the championship hunt for the European title. You have Kart Republic Esprit with Lewis Royal, the fellow British driver, and then Brazilian Mateus Morgado. So going back to the single speed, he's been racing shifters all winter long, going back to the single speed, picking up a third place podium, Nate. So great to see two essentially North American drivers kind of on the podium there.
Yeah, two drivers that a lot of us over here in the karting scene have seen a lot of on-track action between the two of them. So good to see Mateus up there and challenging on the world and European scale. And obviously really nice to see Joe back on the top step after the injuries he sustained in the tail end of 2023, for him to be back in a kart and back to winning ways. And really what is so quick for him is really cool to see. And hopefully we'll be seeing him more in the US in the next couple of months. Not sure what his North American racing plans are, if there are any, but would really like to see the Brit come over and do some more races this year.
Yeah, I think he's going to focus on that European Championship for sure. But I would not doubt to see him at a couple events in the US, and probably towards the end of the year at the Super Nationals, the event that he kind of unfortunately missed due to the injury sustained. USA drivers in the OK category that were there, Vivek Kanthan, it just seems like yesterday he was racing micro. Now he's in the OK category. He was the lone USA driver to qualify for the main event, finishing in the 21st position. Blake Nash now making a run at the international scene. He's done a couple of events as well, too. Unfortunately, unable to qualify. I believe he was 38th, so just missed the final transfer spot after the super heats and how the heat points were calculated. In the OK Junior category, Kopo Martinezzi, the Kart Republic driver, scoring the victory over Dres Van Langen Donk in the Xpree, and Rocco Coronel on the Kart Republic. So 2 Kart Republics on the podium in the OK Junior category. Top driver there for the USA squad, Devin Waltz, finishing in 13th, as Jack Iliff and Drew Waltz unable to qualify through. But Nate, the focus was kind of on, for at least for USA, was in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy program that ran its opening round at the French facility, and it's Turner Brown representing Team USA, or the USA the lone USA entrant at the event. Pace was there, certainly both in the dry and the wet for Turner Brown. Unfortunately, getting spun out in the formation lap of the opening heat race after qualifying 6th overall. They split them up into different heat groups. He was starting 3rd and was spun out after a false start, and getting back around for the formation lap. He got spun, was unable to restart. They're no longer allowing drivers to restart. That's something new for FIA, but came back and finished 6th after even with a pushback bumper penalty, finished 6th in the second heat race. But then an engine failure in heat number 3 put him in 24th in that heat. Thankfully, was able to transfer through and started 35th, so the final row in the main event, and drove his way all the way up to 14th. So big move for Turner Brown to get into 14th, but unfortunately a kind of disappointing end to it, even though it was a great drive in the main event for him.
Yeah, maybe a little disappointing, the final result for him, but ultimately a lot of positives you can take from a maiden outing in Europe for him, especially for a driver that's so consistently at the front of the field at no matter what class or what series he runs over here in the US. It's really cool to see him go and compete against some of the world's best over in Europe. And I mean, like I said at the start of this, it's ultimately probably not the result he wanted, but a lot of positives there with qualifying 6th and the heat 2 finish of finishing in 6th against the world's best on a track you've never been to with some new machinery. It's ultimately a really, really solid weekend for Turner Brown.
Yeah, he'll be going up against Jacob Gasparovic, the winner in France, and Wian Beshoff from South Africa, finishing 2nd. Dan Alleman from Switzerland in 3rd. So they will meet again, which ironically is Slovakia, which is from where Jacob Gasparovic is from. They will be racing there June 20th through the 23rd. So the second event of the FIA Karting Academy Trophy program, that'll be where the 3rd stop of the European Championship will also be before they wrap things up in August when they head to Sweden. So still a lot up there for grabs for Turner Brown. Again, he can come back and do well in Slovakia. We'll see if he'll be able to obviously take on the home country driver, Jacob Gasparovic. With that, we'll head into our first commercial break. When we return, we'll talk about the Florida racetrack and the Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix.
Are you ready to go from karts to cars? Since 1975, the Skip Barber Racing School has taken great drivers and made them champions. Today, we're proud to welcome the next generation of winners. Make the transition from karts to cars with the Skip Barber Formula Race Series. You'll compete at the most iconic tracks in America. Race weekends include your very own equalized Formula 4 race car, a professional crew, expert instruction, video and data analysis, hospitality, and more. This is the place to fulfill your dream of becoming a champion. Sign up today by calling 866-932-1949 or visit us at skipbarber.com.
Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. CRG is one of the most iconic brands in karting, and we're primed and ready for the 2022 season with new material and a never-ending focus on winning. CRG Nordam is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, CRG Nordam supports CRG dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. The CRG KT5 is our new chassis for tag and shifter racing, and it's been designed specifically for the US market. The KT5 features 30mm construction with a 32mm front loop to increase front grip. CRG's new VEN 13 brake system is cutting-edge technology with a master cylinder that allows for pressure regulation within the system. Drivers can customize brake pressure to their own requirements to improve feel and to avoid brake lockup. The kart is finished with new KG 507, 508 bodywork that has refined aerodynamics and reduced weight. For cadet drivers, the 2022 CRG Black Mirror is already logging positive results to start the new season. This chassis will be making big waves in 2022. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know that the CRG Road Rebel, the standard in quality and performance, is still available. With four-cycle racing enjoying consistent growth in North America, CRG's FS4 chassis is the ideal choice for racers in Briggs & Stratton competition. From pure racing to karting entertainment, many tracks, both indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the CRG Centurion rental kart line. 5 different models for both gas-powered or electric engines can fit any track's needs for a new rental kart fleet. CRG Nordam has a full inventory of rental karts available for new and existing facilities. For more information on the CRG product line, head to www.kartcrg.com, and to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email us at info@kartcrg-nordam.com.
And welcome back to This Week in Karting, episode 77. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean. It's April 29th, 2024. Again, we're breaking down some of the major news and notes that have hit the EKN homepage over the past couple of weeks. This show presented by Comet Kart Sales. One of the things that came through, I believe, when I was on vacation was new management confirmed for Florida's Anderson Race Park. Again, the Palmetto, Florida facility, which is just outside the Tampa area, has taken over. Has been taken over by new management. The FL Amusement Creations LLC is the company taking over. I believe Jacob Motaz and some of his partners who have been down there for a number of years, working through the kart shops and the other businesses they have there. They're essentially taking over the management of the racetrack, which is still owned by the Anderson family. And it'll also include a renaming of the facility, which will now be called T4 Kartplex. So new name for the racetrack itself, and new management for the racetrack, which will see some changes to the club program and other new aspects coming in the future. And again, will be the southeastern hub of the Tillotson T4 series, which will be once again be providing trips to the T4 Nations Cup program. Is kind of the IME International Final or the Rock Super Cup Final of 4-cycle racing for the Tillotson engine program, and spec karts as well too, which is again a very unique aspect in the sport. We saw a number of Americans racing at the T4 Nations Cup last year and a couple of years before that as well. So yeah, kind of a new face and new name to a facility that essentially that's the only racetrack I know of in the Tampa area, and they'll once again be hosting the Sunshine Karting Challenge in 2024, Nate. So that's good news for them.
Yeah, ultimately a little embarrassing and not a track I heard of before this news, but looking into it a bit more, looking at the track layout, definitely seems like a really fun track to race on, and hopefully one day be able to get down there and do some laps. But really cool to see that under new management, and especially with Tillotson and how they're starting to ramp up their presence in the U.S. after sending a few drivers over to compete in that European final last year, and a lot of that American representation doing so well. I think a lot of eyes over here on the States have looked at that and seen that as a potential option for 4-cycle racing. So for them to have a hub now in the U.S. at a track that looks really, really exciting should only be good for them in that program.
Yeah, I ironically was vacationing about a half hour away from there. So I wanted to go check it out because it is a place I've never been to. But they, again, have hosted many regional programs over the years. But just, too busy soaking in the sun rays at the beach. So wasn't able to put some karting into my vacation. One place I have been for a number of years is the Rock Island Grand Prix, and the Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix is welcoming the Hemp Doctor as a presenting sponsor for 2024. This is a company based out of the Mooresville, North Carolina area. They are a major national manufacturer and distributor of legal hemp and CBD products. That's something I don't typically see advertising. They said in the release, this is their first kind of dip into motorsports, being in Race City, USA. I got to assume that there's probably something with NASCAR, maybe, that they're not allowed to advertise with or sponsor in NASCAR. Maybe, Nate, do you know anything about that?
So in my limited knowledge of it, with any hemp or smoking products, usually if you see on the side of the Arrow McLaren Indy cars, you have to have that Surgeon General warning on there. But I do think they still, at least in IndyCar, they still allow it. I know NASCAR are a little bit more locked down on what sponsors you can bring into that series. So there's a whole lot of legal rigmarole of what you have to do if you sell in that space. But I mean, still cool to see for Rock Island to bring in that sponsor.
Well, maybe we'll have to go check it out, since it's literally right in Mooresville when we go to USPKS next month, or in actually 2 weeks, something like that. For in Mooresville, it's right near all the hotels where we stay at. So maybe we'll just at least get a selfie outside the store and send to Rock Island. So again, Rock Island Grand Prix scheduled for August 31st to September 1st. So again, they're continually check them out on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. They're posting news and notes and really good flashbacks. Again, this will be what I think the 29th edition. You know what? I've lost so many. I've been there 20 straight. So this will be my 20th year, I think, there, because we did miss for COVID in 2020. So I think this will be my 20th Rock Island Grand Prix. Well, I'll have to double check all that, but you still haven't done your first Rock Island, have you?
I haven't. No, just other karting schedules hasn't out yet.
I was going to say, is Stockholm racing on Labor Day weekend this year?
With our karting calendar, it's been so cramped that I have not even had room to check. I'll have to do that after this just to double check.
You'll think about that in August, right?
Yeah. One race weekend at a time at this point.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, we'll head into our next commercial break. And when we return, we're going to break down a lot of ECAN editorial that has hit the ECAN homepage, because it's been, again, a busy, essentially 4 to 5 weeks on the website, and traveling and all the other stuff that we've been doing. A lot of articles as well, too. So when we come back, we'll kind of give you a rundown of what you can check out on the ECAN homepage.
What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is SodiKart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer SodiKart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about SodiKart chassis, or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. SodiKart, the world leader in the karting industry. Run by the racers, for the racers. The Pad Holder Super Cup Series is gearing up for an exciting 2024 season, both in sprint and road racing. Make sure you're a part of either championship program promoted by the Northwest Karting Association, one of the longest-standing organizations in the Pacific Northwest. The sprint program features 5 race weekends, which began at the Tri-City Kart Club outside Richland, Washington in April. The program will travel to the Mac Track outside Portland in May, before heading to Medford in southern Oregon in June. The series heads north of the border to the home of the West Coast Kart Club in British Columbia, Canada in mid-July, before returning to Washington on the first weekend in August at the Sumas International Motorsports Academy facility. Your need for speed can be fed with the Pad Holder Super Cup Road Racing Series, which began its season at the Pacific Raceway in April. The series visits Ridge Motorsports Park on June 1st and 2nd. The third stop of the season is Oregon Raceway Park at the end of June, before returning to Pacific Raceways on September 6th to 7th. Head over to nwkasupercup.com to learn more about racing against the best in the Pacific Northwest. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry, and with over 30 years of combined karting experience, we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at franklinkart.com, where all of our products are just a mouse click away. We continue to add to our growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, the ceramic product line, Driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, Smoker performance sprockets, OTK products, AIM, MG tires, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. Be sure to stop by the Franklin trailer during the United States Pro Kart Series events as the official trackside vendor. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com.
And welcome back to This Week in Karting. It is April 29th, 2024. We are recording episode 77 of the show. Again, all the major news that has hit the ECAN homepage over the past couple of weeks, and the show presented by Comet Kart Sales. The ECAN editorial list is long. We've been busy, no doubt, over the last few weeks. This basically goes all the way back to the last week in March, where we had a number of race reports come out that week. We includes Texas Sprint Racing Series from Speed Sports, the Race Rotax US Trophy West Series from Tucson, and the California Pro Kart Challenge opener of 2024, traveling to Buttonwillow for the first event of the season. ECAN Promoter Series, we've been continuing that. Let's see. We have Tim Coyan of United States Pro Kart Series available. We have the Brett Spotty interview with the Cup Kart South promoter, along with Mike Shorn of the Northwest Karting Association. And just recently, and you have a little more insight into this, Chris Kardashian of the Route 66 Sprint Series. He'll be heading into his second season as the owner of the program. And you guys are going to be opening up this week in Newcastle Motorsports Park for the opening round of the 2024 season. Any kind of more additional details aside from what we had Chris talk about in the interview? Very, again, family focused, trying to have the fun atmosphere, fair competition, least amount of tires, so you get one set for practice and one set for racing all weekend long. Anything else to add on top of that? What Chris was able to provide?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is in the article and what you said. A lot of focus on the off-track activities too, and post-race activities, but still having a huge focus on the on-track product, like you said, with trying to lower costs of entry, fuel, tires, all that. The tire limits that you have of 2 sets of tires per weekend is a lot of people have talked to us about that and saying they really like it. So glad to keep that going into this year as well, but not a whole lot of change like you saw from 2022 to 2023 with the change of ownership, just trying to smooth everything out, trying to evolve it as it is, and to work upon those changes that we made and to make it even more better for the racers.
Yeah, so excited to hear more about it over the weekend. Again, make sure you follow them on social media. I believe the Facebook page will be restarted, which was unfortunately lost over the last couple of weeks. So series officials have been unable to reconnect that the original Facebook page. So I believe a new one is going to be created soon. So make sure you watch for that, but also on Instagram as well, and go to Route 66 website to get more information. Driver rankings. We did a release of the driver rankings on March 29th, and we just followed it up with one just before this past weekend, setting them or bringing them up to April 22nd. Nothing's really changed at the top. Still Ryan Norberg in the tag driver rankings #1, and Kyle Wick #1 in shifter kart rankings. So, but we're still starting to see the shuffle. We're now, again, a third of the way through 2024 season. So we're losing results from last year, replacing them with this year. Obviously, we've talked about it before, where we're essentially ranking a lot of the events at that 9 base ranking, and letting the size of the field and strength of the field determine where, what events are going to be ranked higher than the others. And so far, I think the Winter Series is doing a really good job of being one of the kind of the premier events where we've seen the larger fields and the more stronger fields. So again, we'll kind of continue to follow that and watch for the end of May, when we'll have the next release. We'll have USPKS, we'll have stars in there. We'll have a number of other events as well calculated in. Let's see, what else do we have? Driver of the month also for the month of March, Santiago Orlioli, the micro driver for MPG Motorsports, was recognized for his wins at the Superkarts USA Pro Tour Winter Nationals in Orlando, and then a victory at the Florida Winter Tour Championship. This is a new driver, essentially, to the major scene, coming on, making his USPKS debut at the end of 2023, and then, ironically, talked his dad into letting him race at some of the major events. His dad's been essentially working with MPG for the last couple of years with their cadet program, Bruno Orioli. So it's a really cool story. Make sure you go check that out and kind of learn more about this young driver. Again, all the micro drivers were essentially learning more about them as the season goes along. Other race reports, we have California Pro Kart Challenge, their second stop at Buttonwillow, the race report from the Race Road Tax US Trophy West Series in Amarillo, and results from the Pad Holder Super Cup Series at Tri-City Kart Club as well. I don't think I missed anything else in there, Nate. I think that pretty much covers it. There's a lot there. Again, make sure you head to the homepage, check out top stories, check out our features section, international section for all the international stuff as well. But I don't think I missed anything in that list. Did I? Oh,
yeah, I don't think
trackside stuff. Yeah, of course.
You did. Yep.
Check out our USPKS Texas Grand Prix trackside coverage, along with our Challenge of the Americas Sonoma coverage as well. So again, you can check out all of that on the ECAN homepage. So we'll take a quick break as I'm out of breath. And when we return, we'll get into ECAN podcast review, ECAN Radio Network, and what's coming on ECAN.
All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the US, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and now the new Red Speed and EOS brands, OTK quality is second to none. All 5 brands are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Ruck Cup USA Florida Winter Tour and the Challenge of the Americas, the SCUSA Pro Tour and Winter Series, and the Pro Kart Challenge, the United States Pro Kart Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. To learn more about a specific product line, you can find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, or EOS. Visit www.otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK USA directly. Want to be part of CKNA history? Join the Cup Karts North America South Division for their series finale in late May, as the series will make its first trip to the most iconic track in Florida. The 2024 CKNA South Series finale has been moved to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Compete inside the historic Daytona Beach, Florida facility over the Memorial Day weekend, May 24 to 26, in what will be a historic weekend for karting. Visit cupkarts.com for more about the Cup Karts North America program. Be sure to follow the Cup Kart South Facebook page for updates on the event. Join the CKNA South Division to close out their 2024 season at Daytona. Let decades of experience and success lead you to the top of the podium. Join Brandon Jarsakrak Racing as your race team at the sport's major events in the United States. Brandon Jarsakrak is a 4-time United States Pro Kart Series champion, along with a multi-time Superkarts USA Pro Tour and WKA Manufacturers Cup Series race winner. Jarsakrak is ranked among one of the best from his generation to get behind the wheel of a racing kart. BJR provides full race team service and support at all USPKS, SCUSA, and Stars Championship Series events, along with trackside programs at the Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. Partnering with Mike Doty Racing, Brandon's team of driver coaches and mechanics are passionate for the sport, providing decades of experience both on the track and working with many of today's karting standouts and current motorsport stars. Brandon Jarsakrak Racing offers a full range of services, including kart preparation, driver coaching, and race event support for both 2-cycle and 4-cycle competitors. BJR is an official LN Racing Kart team with OTK USA and is an official offset sport race team. Contact them today to develop a program based around your needs. Head to BrandonJarsacrack.com to learn more.
Welcome back to our final segment of This Week in Karting, episode 77. It is April 29th, 2024. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we are recording this podcast presented by Comet Kart Sales. The ECAN podcast review, all our shows, again, are available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, which is where we host our podcast. And then, of course, any other podcast outlets you may subscribe to our podcast. Make sure you give us a review. The latest podcasts that have been out over the last 4 weeks essentially are This Week in Karting, episode 76, which we recorded on March 20th. Our debrief of the USPKS Texas Grand Prix, as we were unable to record an outlap, but we did do outlap and debrief podcasts for Challenge of the Americas event in Sonoma, California. It would probably be a tough one to do an outlap by yourself, Nate, because essentially that's what it would have been, just you probably doing the outlap before USPKS.
Yeah, that with all the action and stories throughout the paddock that weekend, that would have been my throat hurting a little bit at the end of that one.
Yeah, it was. So unfortunately, we weren't able to do the outlap, but we'll continue doing those. We'll have one just prior to our Carolina Grand Prix. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the ECAN Radio Network. Again, the only 24-hour, 7 days a week channel dedicated to the sport of karting. You can catch this episode of This Week in Karting. As I talked about previously in another segment, we have the 2018 SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Spring Nationals from PKRA playing on the ECAN Radio Network right now. We'll have a few more rewinds this week. We're working on a roundtable. Again, our schedule didn't allow for it to happen during the month of April. Maybe we'll be able to slide one in May between the Indy GP and the Indianapolis 500, as Rob Howden will be busy traveling to those events during the month of May. But again, watch for that. We'll have more details about that. We got a couple topics we want to hit on. I know one for sure. Maybe we'll get some ECAN viewer feedback on what other topics you want to hear in a roundtable, or who you want to have on roundtable as well too. Maybe that's a better poll question. Who would you like to see on an EKN roundtable? Who do you think would be kind of some of the leading candidates for that? If it was open to anybody,
It's kind of the cop-out answer, but I feel like there's so many like combinations you could go with that could make it fun that I can't just pick one.
Okay.
So maybe we'll have to do something on social media for that. Send it out who you want to.
I think, Race Liberante was a good one. He was a good interview we had previously. So somebody like that. Gary Carlton's been good as well too. Andy Staisman's a fan favorite. Trying to think off the top of my head. Somebody we haven't had on, maybe like a Paulie Massimino, coming off Stars Championship Series victory in the OKN category this weekend. He might be a good one. He's pretty blunt in how he views karting. So again, we'll have some more roundtables, hopefully one in May, and then we'll probably do one in June as well too. So we'll try and get that going. Maybe have multiple guests and kind of move the seats around, play musical chairs with that. So again, stay tuned for that. What's coming on ECAN aside from those roundtables? Well, we'll be trackside. We'll be heading to the Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina for the United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix on May 17th through the 19th. So again, the unofficial home of the United States Pro Kart Series. It'll be visiting that facility, the Mooresville, North Carolina facility, for the 12th time, which is where it all began back in 2013. I remember it like it was yesterday. Crazy to think how far we've come. That program's come since then. Excited to be there. Nate, you've never been to Trackhouse, correct?
I've been there twice for, actually 3 times, 2 for WK races and then 1 for testing.
That's correct. I forgot about that. That's right. Yeah. With the old Top Kart crew, right?
Yeah. With the Kardashian, Pesek, those guys. That those are good times. Yeah.
Yeah, Pesic, his buddy Jacob Abel just won the Indy NXT race at Barber. So good for Jacob to pick up his first career victory there. But yeah, Trackhouse Motorplex. I've done a couple laps there. I recently just shared my 2015 laps there in the Yamaha. I guess it was Yamaha Pro class at that time. I wasn't necessarily a pro, but I did beat TJ Coyen for fast time. So. I got to assume I was somewhat relevant that weekend, but it was fun. It's an interesting racetrack. I think it'd be a lot more fun to go and try it now that I have a lot more knowledge under my belt in terms of sprint racing and understanding these tires than the old rock hard tires I was so used to growing up with. So like to go back there and try that. We'll see. That'll be something in the future for sure. But then essentially we'll have a month away from the racetrack. I'm sure we'll be at other places here and there personally, but for ECAN Trackside, it won't be until June 14th to the 16th, where we will be at the Supercar USA Pro Tour Spring Nationals, traveling to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati in Batavia, Ohio, for its first time ever in the month or in the state of Ohio, and first time at the MCC facility. Nate, you've been there, you know the facility. I've been there last year, got to visit it for the first time. Finally, loved it, enjoyed it. It's certainly a challenging racetrack, but that facility is going to be prepped and primed like Augusta, Georgia, ready to go for the Pro Tour. And hopefully it'll be dry all weekend long, because last year for the USBKS race, they had a lot of rain prior to, so it made for a little bit of a muddy mess. But I got to assume month of June, probably going to be dry. Father's Day weekend, no better way to spend it than at the kart track.
Yeah, and I mean, every time we talk about MCC, there's nothing but high praise we can give it. It's just what the Bailiff family has done there. It's an amazing facility, amazing track, and obviously good on for SCUSA for looking at them and deciding they should hold a race, because from what we've seen with Stars, Route 66, and USPKS for the years that they've gone there, it's produced some really, really exciting racing. So can't wait for the Pro Tour to make their debut at MCC.
Yeah, I will be a little partial, because just about 2 hours north of there is the Dart Kart Club Mid-Ohio event on a recently paved Mid-Ohio facility. So I'm kind of upset it's scheduled the same weekend, because I would love to be up there in Mansfield, Ohio, racing there on a smooth Mid-Ohio sports car course. But excited to spend it at the kart track, watching the Pro Tour host its second event of the 2024 season, which, you know, as we saw in Orlando, a lot of excitement there. And then now we're going to be heading to Ohio, where not a lot of people have a lot of track time, a lot of experience. So I think that's something new and something exciting for all the competitors at the Pro Tour. So again, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere you can find the EKN logo. Again, make sure you check out the EKN Radio Network, download our podcast on the EKN at Podbean or anywhere else you download your podcasts. With that, Nate, any final words as we wrap up this episode?
It's the same thing I say every time. I'm just ready to get back to the next racetrack with obviously route this weekend and PKS in a couple of weeks. Just a really exciting 2024 schedule unfolding and a lot of fun storylines along with it. So just ready to get trackside again.
You probably just want warm and dry weather, because you're not exactly getting it up there.
Asking for. It's not fun right now.
Yeah, you need to escape to the kart track, and you weren't able to do that this weekend. So that does kind of, it's not good. I'm getting some stuff done around the house before we ramp up again, because of course when we hit the month of May, it's going to be busy. Lots going on. So with that, we'll wrap up our show, episode 77 of This Week in Karting. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time.